settings. Your schools are very different. And so we just wanted to be able to have a diverse population so that we can pretty much tie in so many other aspects that we may not see or know from the school setting, and also from the board setting as well too. So just a couple of housekeeping things as we work through our task force. Maybe eventually in the future, we will be able to have a face-to-face meeting. But as of now, they are pretty much scheduled through Zoom. And so I know it's a challenge sometimes when you want to speak or have some things to say via Zoom when someone else is talking. So we can definitely utilize the chat box if you guys have anything to say. When someone else is talking, of course, we're muted so that we can definitely hear what that person is saying. As we go through the meetings and so forth, we want to be sure that everyone is listening, and that we're trusting what each other is saying, and also the resource that you bring back to the task force. Also, I don't think we have any members or visitors at this particular time, but do note that these task force meetings are open to the public. So we may have some visitors that may hop on some of our meetings, which is technically fine. Jordan will be taking minutes for us, and at our next meetings and so forth, then we'll approve those minutes, and then they'll also be posted on our website as well too. So we want to be transparent with the public, and do note that there is a section within, that's on our website now for, Avery just joined in.
I just texted her.
Okay. Okay, so there is an option on our website now for public comment, and when we are able to collapse all the information that we do gather from the task force, we'll also take a look as well at to the public comments as well, because we want to hear what they have to say as well. So with that being said, we'll jump right in. If you guys don't have any questions, we'll jump right into what the charge of the task force is, and hopefully from your invitation as well as from the agenda that I sent out, you were able to look over the charges from what we want to gain from the task force. So I'll just read through these very quickly. So the first charge of the task force is to determine and define best practices for student recruitment and enrollment. Task B is to determine and define best practices for monitoring student enrollment. Charge C is to provide recommendations for meeting contractual and statutory obligations of underserved student enrollment population. Charge D is to provide, if appropriate, recommendations for revisions to the Mississippi Charter School Performance Framework. Charge E is to provide, if appropriate, recommendations to the revisions to the Mississippi Charter School Contract. And F, of course, is to provide, if appropriate, for consideration during the 2021 legislative session, recommendations to the Charter School Laws 37, 28, 23. So those, the task force charges that we have definitely touch on every aspect that it is for student enrollment, for the underserved as well too, of course. But to think about the charge that it relates to the contract, the framework, the statute, because of course, all of those things have to be aligned, and we want to ensure that they are. So when we're talking about and defining what student recruitment looks like and how will we monitor that as well too, that's going to be great for you all that are within the school to give your feedback on how that recruitment or enrollment is being monitored. What's stated in the contract, what's currently stated in statute, and of course, what the framework states as well too. So we want to ensure that everything is aligned and that we are connecting all dots there. Any questions about the charge of the task force? Okay, perfect, thank you.
Here, Mr. Billingsley.
He's muted.
Yeah, you're muted. Jordan, can you unmute him?
Yes, I'm trying to, but I'm not sure he's connected.
There we go. I think that did it.
That did it.
Sorry. I apologize for being late to the meeting. I did not have it on my calendar in the right place, but better late than never. Let's proceed.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Billingsley. Great. So moving along then, if no one has any questions about the charge of the task force, the deliverable of the task force, which is the most important thing here, is our output of what we are going to actually present. So from our task force meeting and the research and the combining of ideas and all of that information, the deliverable here is what we are going to present those recommendations to the board. And if you will notice on the agenda on the second page there was that table. We'll talk about that table soon, but the dates there of us actually combining all information from every single charge in order to produce a recommendation to the board as it relates to student recruitment for the charter schools. So with that being said, if you will notice there in that table, October and November doing those task force meetings is when we will actually combine that information. And then during the December board meeting, we will present our recommendations to the board. Those recommendations could be around the monitoring, the Mississippi framework, the contract, the statute, whatever from the charge that we actually come up with, and we will present those recommendations to the board. Any questions on the deliverables that we are going to produce? Okay, great. All right, so the proposed work process, and here we go. So there on the second page is a little table there of the actual workload that we will accomplish. So what I did here is I combined the charges together simply because they pretty much kind of relate. So when you're defining the best practices and so forth, so I placed together charge A and B, charge C and D together, and then charge E and F together. So I did not stick you all into either one of those categories. I thought maybe today that based on you reviewing the charges, you will let me know and just volunteer for whichever charge that you feel most comfortable with, or that you're dying to jump into. You've seen some research, or even you've experienced this or something that's currently going on at your school that it tends to be working for you. So if you would just volunteer for one or more, if you like, I won't limit you to one of those charges. And you will also see on that table that your presentation of the findings will actually be, you can see there at the due date based on our meetings that we have for the task force, okay? So let's begin with charge A and B, of course, which are around determining and defining best practices for student recruitment, enrollment, and also monitoring. Any volunteers?
Can I ask you a real quick question, Amanda? Do you have the chart that you were talking about? Can you send, so I have the charges in front of me, but I'm not sure if I have the chart that you're referring to in front of me. I'm sorry.
It was on
Yes.
the second page of the agenda. Can you see that, Amanda?
I see the, oh, I don't have the agenda. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Uh-huh.
No problem, Amanda. I can, let's see if I can share my screen.
And actually, that might be a great way to do that. Then we can plug in names
Okay.
as we move forward with volunteers. Yep, there we go.
Okay, perfect. All right, so this was the second page here of the agenda that says workload. And if you see here, I have the task. So like I said, I placed some of the charges and grouped them together along with the presentation and then the date that you will actually present your findings to the task force. So the first charges of charge A and B, any volunteers there, and you guys could be thinking, and as I said, I'm not going to limit you to one, but whichever one you feel most comfortable with working in.
Dr.
So for charge, go ahead, Kevin.
I'll take charge A and B.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? You can just tell me which, if you want to jump on with Kevin in charge A and B, or C, D, or E, F, your call.
CD.
C, D, D, Archie, guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Amanda's still thinking hard. You want to continue thinking, Amanda?
I'm fine with either one of those. I was leaning towards those two, so I don't have a preference between them.
You were leaning more towards E and F as it relates to the contract and then the recommendations for legislation?
No, I was leaning towards A and B or C and D. I don't have a preference between those two.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
I can do, but if you want, I mean, you want a school leader on each of the charges or like each group, because then are there any other school leaders or school representatives?
No, it doesn't matter. We don't have to have a school leader on each charge.
Okay.
You want to keep thinking, so you want to go with A, B, or C and D?
Sure, I'd love to work with Kevin.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see who else I have on here.
And I'll be glad to work with DeArchie.
Okay.
D&D.
All right, Mr. Billings, that looks like you
I'm not volunteering for another one, but I do think, I mean, I would like to have a school representative on each one. I mean, I know you said that wasn't a preference, but I do think.
Okay.
I do think that's important.
So you just want to aid in here, Amanda?
I mean, I could nominate a colleague.
They have to be serving on this task force.
Well,
look, I'm happy to serve wherever you all need me to. I would also like to remind everyone I'm kind of new at this, so don't expect me to.
Mr. Billingsley, I think it would be really valuable if you would serve on E and F in particular, because that's going to be work around the contract and or the anything legislatively, and it would be really valuable for you to be getting your brain wrapped around what the law actually says and what the contract says and where there might be room for negotiating with the legislature next year in terms of any amendments that we might want to present to them. So I think it's really important for you to serve on that part of the work as a subcommittee work, if you're okay with that.
That's great. I'll be glad to do that.
Okay, perfect. And Avery, I know
you can just put Bill in there. You know.
Okay.
Avery, I know you cannot technically serve as an advisor role, but you would logically be connected to this piece of the work. And I'm technically not on the committees either, but I'm happy to help in any one of these, Vanda, wherever you need me.
Okay.
I don't mind joining too. If I don't mind joining E and F as well, if that's
okay.
Thanks, Archie.
I think that'd be great.
Okay, got you. And even if you are on these subcommittees and you want to add in some information to the others, that it's fine. I guess I'm already there now. Yes. So with this communication plan, I have created within Google Drive, and I will share this information with you all. A shared folder that here we are. I will share this folder with each one of you. So of course today you can go into the meetings and sign in and place in your information for the meeting on today. So we can just have an updated contact list there within Google Drive for each member that's on the task force. And then also here, I have a folder for each charge. So when you're working through your charge, if you want to go ahead and start inputting some information within each folder, and even if you're not on that subcommittee, if you find some information or want to share some information, definitely feel free to go into either one of these folders and put in some information there. But as soon as this meeting ends, I will send a shared link to everyone for the student task force workload folder. Okay, I think I'm on stop sharing my screen now. Okay. Also, if we need to communicate, whether it's via email or phone, definitely feel free to do so, to reach out, to ask questions, for collaboration for sure. If you have some ideas that you just want to bounce off someone, you can definitely reach out to anyone that is on the task force. And as I stated, that spreadsheet or the table that's within Google Drive will have everyone's updated information there. So if you need to reach out to any of the task force members, definitely feel free to do so. If anything changes, whether it's meeting or if we're going to meet face to face, or if something comes up, I will definitely communicate with you all via email for sure, to send out updates if needed. Also, with the invitation I sent out to you was a schedule. So our meetings are pretty much set that second Tuesday of each month at 2 o'clock. And so hopefully we can stick to that, and that works around everyone's schedule. I chose 2 o'clock because I said during the mornings, I know everyone is extremely busy. So hopefully 2 o'clock will be a great time for everyone. So we'll try to stick to that schedule for sure. For now, as I stated earlier, it'll definitely be via Zoom, but if things change and we are able to meet face to face, I will send that information out ahead of time.
Hey, Vanda, one thing I want to say on behalf of Amanda, if we, regardless if we're meeting face to face or not, if we can set up a Zoom so you don't have to travel, Amanda, then that I know would be helpful to you. You're welcome to come anytime.
I thought we were meeting in Clarksville. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I will, no, that'd be great. Having an opportunity to meet via Zoom would be great.
Either way, whatever you're most comfortable with, but we don't want you to have to take a hike if you don't need to, and you can just be in the comfort of your office there or at home.
Yeah, got you. All right, and as I stated earlier, these meetings are open meetings as well. So from time to time, we may have some visitors that are logged in to the meeting, because they will be published on our website as well as the minutes. So just FYI there as well too. As far as the operating logistics will go for this meeting, when we are coming together and collapsing our information, if there is a particular time to which where we need to vote on some things, we will definitely do majority voting or take a consensus there, especially when we're making recommendations and what those recommendations look like. There may for sure become a time where we need to take a vote there in order to be able to get the most out of our recommendations to the board. The minutes will be published, of course, and then the goals for our very next meeting. So I think we have Kevin and Amanda with charge A and B for the very next meeting, which will take place on July the 14th. So their findings, you guys will actually present your findings and discussions for charge A and B at our very next meeting on July the 14th. And as I stated earlier, for those of you that, of course, will begin working on your charge as well, too, you can work through your Google folder, upload there, or if you just want to upload your final touches or discussions, that's fine as well, too. Amanda and Kevin, for the discussion for the July the 14th meeting, if there's something you need for us to do on our end, if you're going to share some documents or a presentation, or if it's something that the MCSAB team needs to do ahead of time, just feel free to reach out to us and let us know. Jordan is a technology genius, so she will be more than welcome to assist when needed. Also, a couple of things too to keep in mind. Our framework, of course, is located on our website. We have tons of resources that are there. Feel free to definitely use our website for some resources. But if you need some additional information as you're working through your charges, feel free to reach out to us and we'll definitely be able to assist.
One thing, for those of you that weren't online yesterday listening to the board meeting, the board did adopt a new version of the charter contract. And so as soon as we can, we'll have that posted on the website as well, so you can access that as opposed to the old version there.
Any questions or comments in regards to our next steps, next meeting, our goals, any of the charges?
Dr. Vanda, I have a few questions. Can I throw them out to you real quick? Awesome. Just a few questions about the public nature of our meetings. First, when we're listing our phone numbers, is that document public? Should I use our school phone number, or would that be an internal document?
You said when you're listing out your phone numbers, oh, that's going to be internal. That's
Great.
just for us. Yes.
Thank you. And likewise, the Google Drive, if we throw things in there, is that an internal working site as well?
Yes. Only the members of the task force will have access to that Google Share folder. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Resling.
You're welcome.
My next question, so, as I focus on the best practices for recruitment and enrollment, should we be thinking, like, should I have my scholarly hat on and like scour research, or should I have my practitioner's hat on and say like kind of what works best for us in our setting? Does that question make sense? Like, is it our own experience and what we've seen work in Jackson, or should I be looking at more academic type work and evidence-based, research-based type stuff?
I think both, Kevin. I think it would be great from a practitioner's standpoint, because this information, of course, as I stated, we're going to present recommendations to the board. So this could be for future charter school operators in the state of Mississippi, and then also for our current charter school operators in the state of Mississippi. So I think that your experience as a middle school principal, of your recruitment, your strategies, and how that works for you in Jackson is great. And then also Amanda, that's on that team with you, is her setting is a little bit different. Her grade levels are different. The environment, of course, in Clarksdale is different. So I think experience is great, but then also you can pull in some research articles there as it relates to your area, or even recruitment around underserved student enrollment. Yes. So I think a little bit of both.
Great.
A couple of things, Kevin. One thing I would keep in mind as you research is making sure that whatever recommendations you're thinking about align to our current statute, or something that that the legislature would be probably more than likely willing to discuss and change and that kind of thing. So we're not looking at what maybe, you know what I mean, another state, let's say Ohio or somebody is doing, and then we have this great idea and then we can't get it past the legislature, right? So I think that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is related to your question about public documents. So anything that we do create as a task force will be a public document, right? So just know that whatever we do push out there at the end of the day, so to speak, at the end of our work, it will be public.
Sure, that's helpful. Last quick note, first of all, thanks again for including me in this task force. It's certainly an honor, and I'm glad to be here. I did put a quick note as I was accepting the invitation that I'm anticipating going on a brief paternity leave and coming up. And so, Amanda, I might leave you hanging on the July presentation, but I will help you get it ready and set up for success. And my director of ops is great, so she can always step in with that as well, but I will likely be absent from our July meeting.
Okay, great, Kevin. Congratulations again. Any other questions or comments? That's it. Okay, then.
Vanda, I have a question for you. How many people are not here that we were expecting?
Just one, which is Dr. Anthony.
Okay. D'Archie, do you know where he might be?
Dr. Anthony, so her term, we actually had a board meeting yesterday too as well, and her term ended, her 2-year term ended. So Ann Jones is our new board chair, and she's an attorney who's worked with education, law. I think she may be valued if that's something that you're interested in inviting her.
Yeah, I think, why don't you and Vanda get together and talk about how Vanda might be able to reach out to her and connect with her, so we have that other level of expertise on the task force.
Sounds great.
there are no other questions or comments, I will go ahead and share that Google Drive folder with you all. And if you think of any additional questions as you're working through, please feel free to email or even call if needed. If not, I will talk to you all hopefully throughout this time frame before the 14th, Kevin. But if not, then we will resume again on the 14th for sure. I'm looking forward to this task force. I'm excited about it. And I'm so very privileged to work with you all on this task force as well too. So your level of expertise is going to be greatly appreciated. All righty. Have a good afternoon and thank you again.
Thanks to
Amanda,
everybody.
for the invitation. And congrats, Kevin, as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
I can't get off.